All right, let's get it. So this video's purpose is going to be talking about two major things that I have learned. One was pretty recent, one I've always known of about hiring, the types of questions to ask, the types of things to be mindful of when hiring for certain positions in your company. The first, recently I read the book, The Almanac of Novel. Absolute amazing genius philosopher, Silicon Valley type entrepreneur, grew up in Delhi. He wrote a book, read the entire thing in 2 days, and he talks about wealth, money, status, how to live a virtuous life, how to be content, and that, happiness is a choice. He stays away from vices, etc., etc. But one of the biggest pieces of advice he dropped in the book is if you don't see yourself working with someone for life, do not work with them for a single day. And now looking at this piece of advice and applying it into my own life, there have been times where I've hired for the agency and I was just thinking short term. Not long term. All the big players in any niche, any business model, they think long term. And so in the beginning of my agency, I hired, but I really didn't know what to look for, the type of characteristic traits, the personality types, and that skills can be developed, but it's more so culture and characteristic type fit first. Because if you don't see yourself working with someone for life, do not work with them for a year. All the results in life come from compound interest. And so anytime that you don't see yourself working with someone for life, then the results are just short term. It just might be pretty, small and not worth it for you and what you're doing. So if you don't see yourself working with someone for life, do not work with them for a single day. And taking this into my own life, there have been times where I've hired and I just wanted a short-term benefit. But what ended up happening? Yes, of course, there could have been things done differently on my end as a leader-wise, but the relationship fell apart, they left, they weren't producing results, and it just was a giant mess. And so that's the first piece of advice. Absolutely massive golden nugget that you have to start applying and ask yourself post interviews, ask yourself when done speaking to someone. The second piece of advice is this. And I'm going to tell you guys a story about what happened and then extract the lesson from it. So recently, I was hiring for a setting position in my agency. And I asked the individual a couple questions about his past experience, what he's done, the results that he got for the past agency, how show up rate, and it went something like this. So how's show up rate been? Like, what kind of results are you producing from the last agency that you worked with? Yeah, man. So, I'm setting, roughly 10 to 15 appointments a week. Show up rates 45%, sometimes a little less. And I go, okay, nice. So show up rates sometimes less, but what exactly do you mean by that? Yeah, well, I don't do the follow-ups, the owner follows up and, sometimes it's lower just because of that, yeah. And so I ask him, okay, what do you mean you don't do the follow-ups? The owner does the follow-ups. What exactly do you mean by that? And he goes, well, I don't do the follow-ups, man. Like, set the appointment. He does it. And maybe that's why, show up rate's pretty low. Pause. In my mind, just absolute chaos. And I know exactly that this is not going to be the right fit. And here's exactly why. The lesson let me explain this in simple terms. What he's saying is this. I don't take responsibility for all the no-shows. I don't take responsibility for basically improving my setting skills and saying that there are things I can be learning, saying that there are things I can be doing differently. And what he is saying in that moment is, I don't take responsibility. It's their fault, and that's that. And as you guys continue to watch my videos, one of the things I continuously preach on this channel is taking full responsibility in your life for all the good, all the bad. No one's coming to save you. And so what exactly does this mean? This guy is just externalizing blame. And how long is it until he hops into my agency and does the exact same thing and then does the exact same thing to the next employer? And so do you guys understand what I'm saying here is that you have to be aware of these individuals who just externalize blame. They aren't a good culture fit. They aren't the type of person you want to work with long term, because it's just going to cause internal chaos, be a pain in the ass person to work with, and they just aren't a type A or an A player type talent, and that's not what you want in your team. And so these two major golden nuggets you have to be mindful of and you have to pay attention to when hiring, because if not, a bad hire is going to cause you way more negative, then positive, and it's like resetting. It's resetting. It's wasting your time before you kind of pull the slingshot and fire again. It's wasting your time, and you have to be mindful of. And if you are in the beginning of your agency space and you don't have the skills to hire, you don't have the questions to ask or the types of things to look for, I hope you can take these 2 golden nuggets and apply it into your agency space and just write it down on the piece of paper, keep it next to yourself, watch out for this thing, because there are sneaky individuals who just will kind of slide by if you don't have a filter, if you don't have a system in place, and they will get away with anything until they're in your company causing absolute chaos. And that's the last thing you need. So I hope these 2 tips were of value to your agency. And novel, I highly recommend the book of Naval Ravikant. It's not agency specific, it's just life in general, philosophy books to read, and it just has an amazing mindset to take an approach to life, and it could allow you to kind of be a lot more content just on a daily basis about what you're doing, the type of life that you're living. And it also talks about money and understanding wealth and what exactly is the right value to give to the marketplace, because he's a G. Alrighty, peace.